In The Force Unleashed 2, Starkiller ventures to the world of Dagobah in search for answers. Answers on whether or not he is in fact the original Galen Marek, or a clone as Darth Vader claims that he is. Starkiller believes that within the dark side Nexus cave on Dagobah will be his answers, and the truth will finally be revealed to him, just as Luke Skywalker was granted a vision inside the same cave, with the vision imparted upon the young Skywalker boy being that if he went down the dark path, he would become just as his father is, twisted and evil by the dark side. But when Starkiller ventured to the world of Dagobah, he discovered something else. A little green creature. A little green creature that we know as Grandmaster Yoda. We know that Yoda selected Dagobah for his exile following the Jedi Purge because of its insanely strong dark side signature. The world of Dagobah is what is referred to simply as a dark side nexus. It's also a location with a ton of teeming life, as well as dense swampy jungles, meaning that ship scanners do not work very well there at all. Yoda selected this planet, however, because of its dark side signature, knowing himself that his own place in the Force was extremely bright and warm, but because of this warmth, his light and signature would be extremely easy to locate. Therefore, Yoda needed to conceal himself. First, Starkiller senses nothing special about the green creature sitting before him right beside the cave, choosing to walk past him. In the cave though, Starkiller is granted a vision that shakes him to his very being, and confirmation that he is not the original and that he is in fact a clone of Galen Marek. Not to mention, despite turning to the dark side himself previously and having been trained directly by Darth Vader, the potent energy of the darkness that the cave produces shakes Starkiller to his very core, and he has an exceptionally difficult time remaining within the cave. Exiting the cave, he has a bright realization as he is utterly shocked that this creature could simply sit by the cave and feel nothing. That the dark side, despite being so potent and so raw, that this creature was able to resist it, so much so that it did not appear even as an annoyance to him. In the novelization for The Force Unleashed 2, we learn that Starkiller internally comes to one of two options. Starkiller's first theory about the green creature is that he's completely insane and also wields a power in the dark side that potentially Vader and his own master Insidious does not possess, and that the powers of the darkness have driven this creature to insanity, causing him to almost seek out the cave's very presence, locating a world such as Dagobah and deciding never to depart simply because of the Nexus, belonging completely at home there. Starkiller believes that the being that we know as Yoda feeds off of the power of the cave as a sort of sustenance. Second option though is perhaps slightly more profound. Starkiller believes that the creature is not darkside in origin, but theorizes that the creature is so powerful that the effects of the cave mean absolutely nothing to it, and that he is so experienced and so powerful with whatever version of the Force that he wields that he can sit by the cave and feel nothing. Both of these options though chill Starkiller to his very core, as his own experience in the cave was quite traumatic. In a very rare moment for a character like Galen Marek, he is overcome with fear. It's important to note that this is not an emotion that Galen Marek feels very often. Starkiller actively faces down Darth Vader, and the original Galen Marek even stared down Darth Sidious in his immense power. But what chills Starkiller to his core is not the fact that he can sense the great power that this creature has, but that he cannot. Starkiller did not detect immediately that Yoda was Force sensitive, which again adds a greater idea to why Dagobah was the perfect location for Yoda to hide out. I theorize that Yoda even potentially sensed Starkiller coming to the world of Dagobah and sensing that he may be partially aligned to the dark side, opting to sit by the cave as a sort of concealment, sitting as close to the dark side nexus as powerful in an effort to shield his own presence in the Force, believing that perhaps Vader's apprentice or an inquisitor of sorts had located him. In the end though, Starkiller does something exceptionally rare, and that is run. Starkiller runs to his ship on Dagobah and departs the planet as quickly as possible, not desiring to meet the green creature again. I feel like this little portion in the Force Unleashed novel goes a long way to explain just how terrifying it would be to meet Yoda, not realizing who or what he is. For all Starkiller knows, he's this creature that's exceptionally strong in the Force in the most powerful dark side nexus that he has ever faced. Not to mention, Starkiller doesn't actually sense that he has a presence in the Force at all, simply that he's undeterred by the energy swirling around within the cave, a cave that just granted him a vision that he will never forget, and it will haunt his nightmares forever. I also love the idea of the second explanation, that Yoda is so grounded in the light side of the Force as a 900-year-old Jedi. Simply sitting next to this dark side nexus leaves him completely unaffected. For nearly 20 years, the Empire was unable to sense or find Yoda on Dagobah, with this being one of the times when they were closest and they weren't even looking for him. Starkiller just came across the little green creature by happenstance. We also have to remember that Starkiller was stated to have the potential to become as powerful as Darth Sidious was, if he attained the same training. So for Starkiller to be afraid of something, an emotion that he likely never felt before, is insane. He's also been surrounded from the moment that he was conscious with beings that had fully embraced the dark side, and lets the power flow through them willingly. So when he encountered a being that was not affected by it in the slightest, he could not conceive this. He has no idea how to react to this creature and decides to run. But this is why Starkiller ultimately ran from Yoda during the events of The Force Unleashed 2, and why he did not wish to encounter the little green creature ever again. But now I turn it over to you, acolytes and students of the Force. What are your thoughts on Yoda's massive Force signature, his ability to face down the dark side of the Force in all of its forms, and ability to stave off the effects of the Cave of Dagobah? If you were Starkiller and had little knowledge of this as well, would you also decide to run? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. It is much appreciated. May the Force be with you, and I hope that you have a great day.